Hi, everyone, and a big welcome to our YouTube channel. Today marks the start of a comprehensive business owner series. I'm Lisa Whiteman.
David Drumhiller. Together, we're the co-founders of Whitehill Financial, where we specialize in helping small business owners build wealth both inside and outside of their businesses.
As business owners ourselves, we understand the unique challenges that you face. You're focused on growing your business, managing your team, and serving your clients. Setting up retirement plans often falls to the bottom of the priority list.
What we've seen with our clients is that the right retirement plan doesn't help just attract and retain talent. It can also be one of the most powerful tax and wealth building tools available to you as the business owner. But here's the secret. The right retirement plan is not just a perk for your team. It's like a tax-saving superpower for you, the owner.
In this video series, we're going to walk you through not just the basics of different retirement plans, but also strategic approaches that can significantly impact your personal and financial independence.
Before we dive into specific plans, let's address why this matters. Many business owners we work with tell us they're planning to sell their business someday to help fund their retirement.
While your business is certainly a valuable asset, relying solely on a future business sale creates significant risks. We've seen it happen. Market conditions change, valuations fluctuate, and life throws curveballs. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, was a tough period that sadly forced many business owners that we knew into earlier retirement than they had hoped or planned for due to circumstances beyond their control.
Why establishing retirement plans outside of your business is crucial. It creates financial diversification and tax advantages that help protect your future, regardless of what happens to your business.
David, let's talk a little bit about the most straightforward option that small business owners have, and that's the simple IRA. Let's kind of go over who it works for, who it doesn't work for. What are some of the advantages?
Yeah. We often recommend the simple IRA to our clients who are either just starting to offer retirement benefits or have fewer than 25 employees. Some of the benefits that you were asking about, that it's easy to set up with minimal paperwork. There's low administrative costs. Employee contributions that can reduce their taxable income, but also you're going to have mandatory employer contributions that will help you attract and retain talent.
Can you walk us through maybe some ideal candidates or what that would look like for a small business?
Last year, we had a small business that we helped implement. It had 24 employees. One of the things that the owner appreciated was it was a straightforward setup. The employees valued that they had an opportunity to put money away in a tax advantaged way that also had employer matching.
I know that one of the big drawbacks when you're talking about a simple IRA is that it's still not commonly available in a Roth option. I know the Secure Act 2.0 made that something that should be available, but I know that not everybody is offering that. There's really limited resources in there. How could that be construed as maybe a negative for an employee?
So, like, despite it being legal, not many providers offer the Roth option. So that's really kind of limits who you can even do it through if you were to do that. And also, compared to other plans such as the 401k, which has a Roth option already built in, and many providers provide that, this is something where you really have a harder time finding that. And many employees would probably like having a way to do their contributions where it's getting tax-free growth.
Got it. And I know also when we're talking about disadvantages from a business owner standpoint, it really doesn't allow them to maximize how much they're contributing on their behalf. Can you talk to me a little bit about what contribution limits look like?
Yeah, so comparatively to other plans such as the 401k, we're limited to $16,000 in 2025. You do have a $3,500 catch up if you're over 50. So that's a total of $19,500. However, there are other plans out there that can allow you to contribute significantly.
And just to kind of like skate over some of the possible disadvantages, for some employers, they might be actually advantages. I know that with the simple IRA, the employer is required to match up to 2 or 3% of the eligible employees that are contributing, which is a really nice thing for an employer to do, but it may or may not be the focus of the retirement plan as a whole. So it might be kind of a drawback. And additionally, just to highlight kind of what we would consider one of the most common drawbacks on a participant level is that there isn't any ability to lend from a simple IRA as opposed to 401k.
Correct. One of those things where what comes with the easy setup and the less requirements to go over each year is the drawbacks of required matching and then also no loan provisions for the participant.
And I know that business owners really need to heavily consider the stability of their cash flow, given the mandatory contributions. When a business owner is thinking about, is a simple IRA right for me? If your business is one that, has highly fluctuating income, it may not be a good fit. But I know that there are other options that might be a good fit. So let's talk about those.
Oh, yeah. So one of the other options out there is the SEP IRA or Simplified Employee Pension Plan, which offers different advantages for business owners. Lisa, can you walk us through what some of those advantages might be for a business owner?
Sure. Because it's not a matching system per se with the sub IRA, a sub IRA is built on the foundation that it is employer contributions only. So again, you are as an owner are put in a position where you're required to contribute on your employee's behalf, but you're not necessarily having to do so in a systematic fashion. So if you have variable income, if you find that, some quarters, like maybe you're a small CPA firm, and, so tax time, that's your bread and butter, right? Most of your income is coming in during that period of time. And, you might find the SEP IRA gives you that flexibility that you need with making higher, contribution dollars. So for example, you're required, the IRS requires you, if you're going to open up a SEP IRA, to make those contributions across everybody who qualifies in a non-discriminatory fashion, but you get to choose how much, what year you want to contribute. Maybe you had a down year, so you don't want to contribute at all. The SEP IRA also has a simplified setup option, right? Low administrative costs. There's no filing requirements with the IRS. It's really as simple as it gets on the SEP IRA front. But Dick, can you go over a little bit more of who this might fit, what situation of an employer might want to consider using a SEP IRA over a simple?
Absolutely. Generally speaking, we tend to see a lot of owner only or really small companies that are looking to put some money away. The reason why we want to look at it that way is that because the business has to make those contributions, if they make it for one person, they have to make it for everybody, and they have to make it at the same percentage of income across the board. Now, when I looked at one of the companies that we work with, it's a large animal mobile veterinarian. She is a self-employed solo practitioner. The SEP IRA ended up being the best choice for her because it allowed her to contribute substantially more than in a simple IRA with the same lowered annual filing requirements and simplified setup and administration. That being said, if she were to add employees to this plan, she would have to contribute at that same level. So that is why this works for her, but maybe not the company that has 24 employees like we just talked about before.
Right, right. Well, and I know that benefit there too is that specifically as it compares to the simple IRA, the SEP IRA allows for, in 2025 at least, a maximum contribution of $69,000, although there is a calculation your accountant needs to do every year to make sure you can contribute up to that maximum level.
Sure.
But as you mentioned too, there are some significant disadvantages with a SEP IRA. Can you cover those for us?
Oh, yeah. Like they are employer contributions only. Employees are not allowed to contribute themselves. If you contribute for yourself as the business owner, you must contribute across the board to all the employees that are eligible for that. Lastly, also kind of like the simple IRA, there is the option for a Roth SEP with the Secure Act 2.0. However, as of this recording, I am not sure that anybody is even offering that option out there, or if there is, it's very few custodians that do allow that. Also, there are no loan provisions off of this as well.
Right. Now we've moved from the most simple setup. Now we're going to dive into probably what's most familiar to people, and that's the 401k, which does offer a lot more flexibility, but also comes with a layer of complexity.
401k plans have become more and more accessible each year, especially in the most recent years. They've become more affordable and more providers out there streamlining their services, making it easier to set up at a much cheaper cost than what they used to be. With that being said, Lisa, what are some of the advantages that you've seen with setting up a 401k for a small business?
Yeah, the 401k really has the most feature-rich chassis of all the small business retirement plans. And as you already mentioned, they are becoming more and more affordable for employers. Right off the bat, they can be both employee and employer contributed. So, and on the employee level, that's within the firm can contribute for 2025 anyway, up to $23,000. And then, of course, if they're 50 and over, there's an additional catch up of $7,500. But on the employer side, that's where we really start compounding those dollars, right? So there is optional, again, just like the SEP, but here's where we come into optional features, right? Is that the employer can match if they're so inclined, right? If you want to give your employees a real incentive to stick around and give you loyalty, a matching provision can be a great way to do that. Or if you even want to go one step further, there's profit sharing. Now, profit sharing gives you, as the business owner, the most flexibility as far as contributing on your employees' behalf. In that, similar to the SEP, it's not required every year. So if you have great, make some profit sharing contributions. If it wasn't so fantastic, IRS isn't going to hold your feet to the fire on that. And from an employee standpoint, having that Roth provision in there is huge, right? Especially for maybe some of your lower paid employees, that Roth provision can be a really powerful way for them to build tax-free income for themselves in the future. As an employer, rather, you can choose whether you want to have loan provisions on there. So 401ks are the only small business retirement plan that do have the availability of a loan provision, but you as the owner are really in control of whether that provision exists on your plan or not. And kind of circling back to those profit sharing contributions or matching contributions, you as the employer have some choices as far as how long an employee needs to stay with the firm in order to receive your dollars. So you could do graduated vesting or you can do cliff vesting. So that's a really good way to incent people to stay on at your firm. In addition to that, there's lots of other business owner focused features that are available. They are a little bit less common, but you as the employer, we would sit down with you, have a one-on-one conversation about what it is that you are specifically looking for in the implementation of the 401k plan and build those features out to suit you. So that's really in a nutshell the biggest advantages. Dave, I want you to highlight a little bit some of those owner focused features and maybe give us an example of somebody you've helped in the past with a 401k.
Absolutely. So in the past year, we helped set up a solo 401k for a solo business owner, which solo 401ks are able to be set up for a scenario where it's a business owner and spouse. That would be an acceptable scenario there. But we saw firsthand how effective this whole thing can be. The business was doing extremely well, and they had significant amount of money to be able to put away. So we were able to max out their contributions into that 401k for them. And we were able to put a little profit share portion on top for them in that scenario as well. And we also attached it with a cash balance plan for the owners. which allowed them to contribute $230,000 across all the plans annually. This for them. This was only available if they set it up through the 401k option. So they had to do the 401k to be able to get to the 230. They had to do the cash balance with it as well and the profit share to be able to get to that level. Obviously, not every business is there, but these are things that we can stack along the way to help design it specifically for the business owner.
Yeah, and we know that not everybody is sole practitioners, right? More often you have a couple employees. So, if you find yourself in a growing phase, the 401k can be a really powerful tool, give you that plan design flexibility. In fact, one of our clients who works in the technology field implemented a 401k with a tiered matching structure, right? So we can design these however it is that fits your business needs. And not only was the matching structure tiered, but the vesting schedule was graduated as well. So this was all specially designed for their firm to reduce turnover in specific key positions that they were looking to retain. But 401ks aren't perfect. So, Dave, can you talk a little bit about some of the drawbacks that exist in the 401k space?
Yeah, obviously, one of the things that initially comes up with 401ks is they are more expensive. There is higher cost for their administration and compliance. They are more complex, especially in some scenarios like we were talking about there with the client that was able to put $230,000 away. There is a third-party administrator that needs to be involved, and so that is more complex, more annual testing, more annual filing requirements, and fiduciary responsibilities that come along with the 401k plan.
Those bring cost, right?
Yes. And
Right.
every part of it costs something. However,
Yeah.
there is benefits along the way, but that is kind of a drawback to the 401k plan.
How can somebody offset some of those costs? I know that there's some really neat tax features out there that can help an employer offset some of that administration
Yeah.
cost.
Especially for employers setting up for the first time their 401k plan, there's quite a few tax credits out there that they can get to be able to help out with those costs. In some scenarios, we can potentially look where the whole tax credit, you get the full thing covered. Others, it's only partial, depending upon every part that we do.
Right. Right. And I know that we both have some really cool tools that can help illustrate, where a company can offset, where they can't, and how long. Because I know that some of those tax credits do go on for a couple of years, but they don't go on indefinitely. So we can really illustrate the power of those tax credits. And of course, tax laws are subject to change. So these are what the tax laws are right now, and we take advantage of them while we can, right?
Exactly. And while all of this can seem daunting, if your business is looking to grow and you think your team and revenue will grow, sometimes setting this up with the additional complexity makes the most sense today.
Know that 401ks aren't set in stone, right? So as your business evolves, you can also evolve the 401k as well.
Exactly.
So we focused mostly on retirement plans today, but there are some other things that need to be considered when implementing retirement plans, and it's how they work with your existing benefit package.
Benefits packages can include several components beyond retirement plans. We're talking about things like health insurance and HSA option, life and disability insurance options, paid time off, professional development opportunities, and flexible spending accounts for a few things to list.
And those, by packaging them together, we've definitely found that small businesses, if they take a more comprehensive approach with their benefit package, creating that loyalty with your employees is second to none.
Absolutely. And when we work with our business owners, we often help them develop multi-year benefit strategies that will evolve as their business grows. So it's not that you have to implement everything today, but maybe what is it that we can slowly start implementing over time to fit your
Right?
business's needs and your employees' needs.
What do you want to build to, right? And let us help you build to whatever it is that you want to accomplish for sure.
Exactly. So beyond just selecting a plan type, there are several strategic considerations that can maximize the impact of your retirement. One of the first things you want to consider is your business growth trajectory. If you're expecting a significant team expansion, you'll want a plan that can scale with that efficiently without having to become prohibitively expensive or having to switch your plan because you chose the wrong one to begin with.
That can really be a headache.
Absolutely.
And
Secondly, you'd probably want to think about your personal retirement timeline. Lisa, can you talk a little bit about what that might mean and how that could help them prioritize a plan?
when you, as a business owner, speaking from personal experience, right, we get all consumed with the building and the growing. And how often do we stop to think that we're not immortal? We won't want to do this forever, or we can't do this forever. So by building a plan that can grow with your, not just the growth of your business, but the growth of you and when do you want to retire? By taking into consideration plans, higher contribution limits, and catch up provisions for those who are in the late stages of their careers, right? Again, we've touched a little bit about selling the business, but having a pool of assets that aren't reliant on who am I going to sell the business to? How much am I going to be able to garner? We want to think about where you are in your personal journey and on your retirement timeline. And last but not least, right, it's your individual tax situation as a business owner. Everybody has a unique tax situation. Everybody's businesses have different expenses, different corporate structures as far as, are you deducting on a Schedule C or are you filing as a corporation, right? So what your individual tax situation looks like oftentimes has a lot to do with what retirement plan has the most significant impact for you as the owner, both now and in retirement, right?
Absolutely. And we also want to think about business succession. If you're planning to transition out of the business within the next 5 to 10 years, your retirement plan for the business should align with your retirement strategy as well. Just want to make sure that those are in cahoots so that you have a plan that is working not just for your employees, but also for you, the business owner.
Yeah. And each of the strategic considerations deserves much deeper exploration, which is exactly what we talk specifically to you, the business owner, about your journey and your retirement road.
We've covered the fundamentals of simples, SEPs, and 401k plans, along with other important strategic considerations.
Remember, the best plan is the one that aligns with your specific business situation, your personal financial goals, and your employee needs. There is no one size fits all solution.
Help you take the next step, we've created a process specifically for small business owners in the selection plan type. We walk you through the key decision factors and help you narrow down your options.
So book your consultation with us today to get started. You can visit us at mywhitehill.com.
We'll dive deeper into advanced strategies like managing retirement planning with inconsistent income, business succession planning, and tax optimization techniques.
So from the very bottom of our hearts, thank you for watching. I'm Lisa Whiteman.
I'm David Drumhiller.
We're from Whitehill Financial, dedicating to helping your business build lasting financial independence.